Hello, this is Billy Core from the Nostalgia Mall, and in today's video we're going to talk about an operating system that so many people love, so many people adore, and that operating system is none other than Windows 2000. And today we're going to be installing it on my Gateway Astro from 1999. That's pretty era appropriate for Windows 2000. It was designed for Windows 98. Has been running Windows 98 ever since I got it back in November, but I've swapped SD cards out so we can do a Windows 2000 install on here just to see what it's like. So, I'm going to go ahead and grab my Windows 2000 disk and we will proceed. Okay, let's go ahead and power on. It's actually been a few months since I've used this computer. Alright, we'll go ahead and get started. As you can see, the setup is very similar to Windows XP. Now I have a very interesting but not really interesting history with Windows 2000. And that's because I never got to use it until I finally got a copy of it in November of 2008. And it didn't have much support left at that point. And so I really missed the heyday of Windows 2000, unfortunately. Because I know in the early to mid 2000s, people were all over this OS. And there were a lot of people who preferred it over Windows XP at the time, at least until XP Service Pack 2 was a thing. And I can understand it. It's a lot more lightweight than XP. It's a very rock-solid operating system, I will admit that. But I just, because I didn't have access to it until 2008, my nostalgia for Windows 2000 is non-existent, really. I have more experience. A lot of people would say, unfortunately, to this. I have a lot more experience with its 9X counterpart that came out the same year, Windows ME, which had a lot of the same design features of 2000, but built on the 9X kernel. So yeah. I just never really got to experience and enjoy Windows 2000 like others did. And when I'm using or putting together a vintage computer from this era, I typically go with Windows 98 because it's just more compatible with the games that I grew up with. Especially since 98 has DOS support, so everything just everything's just more appropriate on Windows 98 for me. Let's just say that than it is on Windows 2000. Not to say I haven't tinkered with it before, but my nostalgia for it is just non-existent, unfortunately. But I know a lot of people are big fans of Windows 2000, so this video is for you. So we're going to do go into recovery here. Actually, I already have a Windows 2000 install on here from another computer. No admin password, so maybe we can just format. Now notice that I'm using FAT32. Normally on an NT-based OS like Windows 2000, we would go with NTFS, but because we're using a SD card, we got to use FAT32, because if we use NTFS, it can cause problems with the SD card, and it will run horribly slow. Believe me, I know that from experience. So we're just going to do good old FAT32. And then we'll reboot it. Reason I did this through the recovery console, not through the setup process, is because unlike Windows XP, it does not have a quick format feature when you go in through the setup. So we have to go to the recovery console if we want the quick format. And I'm just too impatient for a full format. So we're going to let it reboot again. Okay, now we can proceed with the setup. And this is a 32 gig SD card, by the way. And we'll go with the partition we just made. We'll leave it intact. And once it examines the disk, we should be copying some files over. Like I said, for the most part, this is very XP-esque. Of course, this was before XP. Okay, we'll let this rot away and give it a few minutes. Alright, now we're going to reboot. And we'll be booting off the SD card now. We'll skip that this time. And here's the good old Windows 2000 Professional splash screen that everyone loves. And hopefully we'll, once everything's installed, we'll have drivers right out of the box for everything, including the video and sound. Because I don't really care about hunting all that down. Especially since this is a rather odd system. Okay, we missed a few little pieces of the setup because I had a phone call come in that I had to take care of, but we're at this point here where we do our regional settings, but since I live in the US, we'll just leave everything as is. Put in my user information. And we'll put the product key in. Okay, date and time is good, well, except for the time it's an hour behind, because last time I turned this computer on was before daylight saving started. Setup's a little bit slower on this computer, but then again, this is a lower end budget computer, so that's just part of the experience. I believe this is a Celeron 400. So, and these are probably my favorite Celerons of all time. The Pentium 2, Pentium 3 era of Celerons were actually not that bad. I remember my Never Obsolete E-Machine that I got back in 2000 had a Celeron similar to this one in it, and as bad as that computer was, I don't think the Celeron was really the bottleneck on that computer. I think it was more of a RAM issue. It only had 32 megs of RAM, which at that time was just pitiful, but anyway, just going to install some network components. So that's going to configure some stuff. This also has a Service Pack 4 and the unofficial Service Pack 5 slipstreamed in it, so that's another reason why it takes a little longer to install on here. But we will let this continue on. Okay, after a little bit of waiting, we are ready for the final reboot. With the speaker popping like that, it makes me suspect that we may have a sound driver installed already. So that'd be nice. I'm hoping we also have a video driver as well. That'd be even better. I'm just not in the mood to be hunting drivers down today. I think it has a Intel video on it. Probably should have taken the CD out, but oh well. We do have video. Video driver, that is. We have sound. Looks like everything might be working right out of the box. Not sure about my USB network adapter though. I'm not sure if that's working or not. We'll check Device Manager for that. Because there is some software I'd like to install off the network. And here we are, Windows 2000 in all its glory. Some people consider it to be the greatest operating system Microsoft ever developed. I will admit, it's pretty good though. I will say that. I do like it, but I just never really had much of a use for it. So let's see if the network, USB network card is functioning. I'm probably going to get about 100 device managers now. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I'm not sure what the PCI device is. That might be the onboard modem, which I'm probably not gonna worry about. Stuff falling off my desk here. Don't know if this will work because it's designed for Windows 98, but this is the driver disk for that network card. Hope it does, because there is stuff I need off the network to demonstrate this with. It's like it skipped over the floppy disks, so that's not a good sign. Okay, did find it. But it doesn't work. And if I had a guess, it's probably because the driver's made for Windows 98. And this is Windows 2000, a completely different operating system in every way. Well, I guess I could just look up Thomas & Belt's USB network adapter. And see if I can find a proper driver for that. Okay, so I gave up. I could not get that network card, that USB network card, to work at all on that Gateway Astro. It appears the only drivers that exist for it are for Windows 98, and it will only run on Windows 98 and nothing else. 2000 has no idea what it is. I even plugged it into my Windows XP desktop back there, and it had no clue what it was. Even Snappy Driver had no idea what it was, and when Snappy Driver doesn't know what something is, you know you're in trouble. So, since I kind of needed access to the network, I just put the Astro away and brought out my Dell Inspiron 5150 with a hyper-threaded Pentium 4 in it, with a installation of Windows 2000 I'd already put on here a few weeks ago. So we'll just proceed with this computer. So we'll go into Device Manager. We've got 512 megs on here of memory. Of course, Sigmatel audio, not the best sounding, but it works. And a lot of my older software from the 3.1 9X days, it requires some compatibility settings in order to work. Same thing if you were running on XP, I guess. Like 3D Ultra Pinball, I have to set it to the 95 compatibility layer. And this has a very high-res screen as well. So 3D Ultra Pinball looks pretty bizarre on here. Using the Microsoft Software Wavetable, which is what most modern computers use even to this day. So that works. Now, one game that I have had issues getting to work, and this is why we need network connectivity so I can get to the installation for it, is some of the old 90s Maxis games, such as, we'll go with Widget Workshop. It says Widget Workshop setup has detected that your operating system is not capable of running Widget Workshop. Click OK to quit Widget Workshop setup and never be able to play it ever in your life. So, yeah, in order to get that installed, we have to make a shortcut on the desktop to the installation program. Go to Properties, go to Compatibility, set it to Windows 95 compatibility layer. And it still won't work. I think we have to go to this setup program to get it to function properly. Let's try this again. Okay, now it's working. Yes, apparently I am nobody. Yes, we'll run it anyway. So yeah, this works. In fact, I remember playing Widget Workshop on Windows XP back in the day. And I imagine I also had to use compatibility settings. Of course, XP was a little bit more efficient with that. We had the, what's it called, the compatibility wizard. So that works. Another game I've had issue with before is SimCity 2000. It's not the most compatible for Windows 2000. So I will put the SimCity 2000 disk in here. and I shall demonstrate. Love those sound effects. Okay, it's actually installing. I'm surprised. It seems like when I did this on another 2000 machine, it wouldn't go. A little glitchy there, but I don't think that's OS related. Why did I exit? This USB mouse I'm using is a little bit finicky. Maybe I have underestimated 2000's compatibility a little bit. Oh, I'm curious what the resolution of the screen is. 1400 by 1050. When this laptop came out, probably around 2004, 2005-ish, I'm sure that was pretty impressive. I'll delete those. Now, I will show you one game that will run on XP in 2000, but it won't run very well. And I know I've been showing this game a lot lately, but I've just been hooked on it. Earthworm Jim. This game is not NT-based Windows friendly, I guess you could say. I know when I first got a Windows XP machine back in 2002, 2003, I tried to play this and it ran, but I'd get graphical glitching and the sound wouldn't work properly. Notice there should be sound right here. Bit silent, isn't it? Oh, and look at that. Isn't that nice? Yep, this is exactly how I remember playing Earthworm Jim on Windows XP, and we get the same situation, unfortunately, on 2000. So there are... I remember trying a hack one time that someone had posted online of getting Earthworm Jim to run on more modern versions of Windows, and I did get it to work pretty well in Windows 10, of all things, but it was so long ago I forgot how to do it, and I'm not even sure if the required files are even downloadable anymore. So we might as well close out of that because we're not going to have a much pleasant experience playing that. And this is a prime example of why when I do vintage computing from this era, I just prefer to go with Windows 98 because it runs games like this flawlessly. Whereas on something NT based, it just poops itself and buries itself underground and sucks its thumb. What in the world did I just say? But now I will show an example of a game that does run beautifully on Windows 2000. It doesn't care if it's 9X or NT based, it'll run just fine. And that's Jazz Jackrabbit 2. But first we have to install it. Yes, I'd like to continue. Create a shortcut. Alright, we'll go ahead and fire it up. Okay, for some reason it's running in window mode. I think it's because it doesn't like the ultra high resolution we're using. And we'll just maximize a window and do it like that. And we'll set a few settings. Turn hardware mode on. And I've played this on XP as well without any issue. Let's see if I can do this with the phone and tripod in the way. Okay, control and space. But we really shouldn't be surprised that a lot of these games don't work on Windows 2000. I mean, this was intended for business use for most cases. But a lot of people did use it in the home. Like I said, I didn't get to. That's why when people talk about how much they miss Windows 2000, I just can't really relate to it. Because we went straight from 98/ME to XP, so we skipped over 2000. Gotta quit hitting that Alt key. That really messes things up. And of course, DOS support, you can forget that on Windows 2000. I mean, there Some things it'll run because, you know, it can kind of emulate a DOS window and everything, but it doesn't do a very good job. And as for your humongous entertainment games, well, you can try to run ScumVM, but for some reason I can't get it to run on here. So we just have to run them natively, which runs well enough. We will load up, let's do Pajama Sam. Which this game runs a lot better when you're in 640 by 480 mode and not this enormous resolution. Anything in there? Well, everyone needs clothes.
Here's my flashlight underneath all my socks. The Illuminator Mark V Jr. It takes 2D batteries, you know. Okay, I'm ready to go into my closet and capture darkness. All right, I'm ready for action.
This scene always freaked me out as a kid.
Wow, this looks like where darkness lives, all right. I better go find it before Mom notices I'm gone. Well, there's no turning back now.
So yeah, old humongous entertainment games run just fine on here. And for when it comes to games, you just gotta experiment and see what'll work and what won't work. That's what I've done with 2000. A good amount of games do work on here, but if you want to play DOS games and certain games like Earthworm Jim, you're going to have some problems. But I do have Office XP on here. Sure did use Word XP quite a bit back in the day. So yeah, I think that's a good enough look at Windows 2000. I like it. It's just usually not my number one choice for vintage OS. I'd much rather use something 9X based just for the better compatibility. But I do hope you enjoyed this video, even though we had to switch computers halfway through. So if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and watch some more. Until next time, this is Billy Core signing off. Thank you for visiting the Nostalgia Mall. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You may also support me on Patreon if you would like. Until next time, this is Billy Core signing off.